Let me bring in Indiana Republican Congressman Marlin Stutzman for more. Congressman, always appreciate your time. So you've got these 90 new targets, oil sanctions reinstated. The president says the ceasefire is over. It kind of sounds like we're headed back to war. What do you know that I don't?
Oh, good morning, Marnie. I think a lot of this just comes down to the follow through of the MOU. President Trump made it very clear that from the beginning that this is a very delicate walk with the Iranians. We know that they're the type that move the goalposts, that they continue to, lie their way through many of these negotiations. And it's very difficult to negotiate with them because they're always going back on their word. When they attack boats in the Strait of Hormuz, ships that they said that they wouldn't, no longer attack, there has to be consequences. For the MOU to be any good, there has to be consequences to any violations, and that's what's happening here.
Do you think that we actually sit back at the table with them again, and do you think there's still room for negotiations?
I do. I think you have to. I mean, that's the problem with these, this regime is that, as long as they're in power in Iran, you have to negotiate with them if you want to find a solution. I mean, we could always walk away and just leave things as be, and they're just going to rebuild their military capabilities, of course, try to get some sort of revenge, which I think that's what they ultimately want. I'd like to see regime change there, but it's going to take a broader international coalition in order to do that. But it's going to, as long as they're in power, we have to negotiate with them if we want some sort of a solution, which I think we want.
Yeah, and I know the president at NATO this week said negotiations with them he would consider to be a waste of time. Speaking of what you would like to see next, the White House and the Pentagon, they have argued that their need for congressional approval of this war was on pause during the ceasefire. As you well know, it's a law dating back to the Nixon administration that the White House has 60 days to get this approval. If the president says the ceasefire is over, does Congress need a say in what happens next?
I think there's got to be a conversation about, well, how long, is this going to go? Is it going to be kind of off again, on again? How does this work? And I think that's the difficulty, is we're just trying to get them to the negotiating table. And so whenever they attack something or someone, then there's always going to be a strike back. And, hopefully somebody in that regime realizes that there's no good solution for them at the end of the day. Tying up their assets is always helpful, but, then the rest of us see higher gas prices and higher commodity prices is the best way to move forward by more attacks on their, any of their capabilities or themselves as the regime. But it's going to really take a coalition. I think that's what Trump was trying to pull together with NATO in his visit this week, is saying, guys, look, we all say they're the they're the leading state sponsor of terrorism. We've got to do this together. And I think that would be the best way forward.
And I wanted to ask you about NATO, and what you made of the timing of all of this, that it all popped off again when Trump was at NATO. He declared that the ceasefire was over while he was there. Now we've hit these, additional dozens of targets. Was part of the magnitude of his response, you think, intentional as a loyalty test to some of these allied countries while there?
I do. I think so. I mean, it's one of those points, through conversations with allies that these guys are really the bad guys. You all have said they're the bad guys. And they're the ones that are attacking not just Israel anymore. They're attacking Bahrain. They're attacking Qatar. They're attacking the UAE and other allies. And even there's one particular attack headed towards Europe. So they need to realize the threat is really real. And I think that President Trump is making the point that if we don't deal with this now, they're going to be around for years to come, and we're going to have to continue dealing with this regime.
You've come out very publicly against the sale of F-35 fighter jets to Turkey, which is something that was on the table for discussions between Trump and Erdogan this week. A finalized deal has yet to be announced. What's the latest you've heard on that, and what's your biggest concern with it, sir?
Yeah, I've not heard anything further if any sort of sales are going to go through. I just oppose the concept and the idea of it. Turkey has made some very hostile statements towards Israel, and they do it repeatedly. The situation between Turkey and Israel is Syria, and Syria is stabilizing. We saw President Trump with President al-Shara this past week, and I think there's positive takeaways that we can take with Syria because they continue to, I think, make right decisions, not perfect, but at least moving the right direction. And so with Turkey having F-35s, I think that it complicates the situation, especially with Syria and the Middle East. And so I don't think it's a good idea. And Turkey needs to stop making the statements towards Israel that they do. That would be a very bad situation between Turkey and Israel.
We'll see what more comes of that. Lastly, and quickly before I let you go, I'd be remiss not to ask you the big question on Capitol Hill. Where's Mitch McConnell? I mean, the 84-year-old senator has been in the hospital for 3 weeks. Nobody knows of a condition. Nobody's heard from him. What do you know, and have you heard from him, sir?
Yeah, no, I have not heard from him. And I think it's a question that Republicans should be asking because he does represent the state of Kentucky. His constituents deserve answers where he is at. I think that the governor of Kentucky has every right to ask after 3 weeks that no one has said anything. As a Republican, I think we need to hold our own party accountable. And so the fact that we haven't heard anything really from Senator McConnell is very discouraging and concerning. And I think that for the representation of the Republican Party and to get some of the bills done that we want to get done in the Senate, it's critical that we have a senator from Kentucky voting in the Senate chamber.
Do you know that he's alive?
I don't. Just the things that I've heard and seen from some friends is that he's obviously not doing well, but don't know if he's alive or has passed away.
Congressman Marlin Stutzman, our thoughts with his camp and his family this morning, and hope to hear from him soon. Thank you for your time, as always. I greatly appreciate you, sir. Have a wonderful day.
Great to be with you this morning.
You as well. A big day expected in the hearing of the man charged with killing